Pascal Gerbert-Gaillard, thank you for being here with us. You are head of development and head of Bio-c'est-Bon here in Asia. You arrived, if I'm not wrong, 3 years ago on the Japanese market.
That's right.
How many shops do you have now in Japan, and where are they?
So we just opened, we just celebrated our third anniversary in Japan. We do have 14 stores, most of them being in Tokyo, downtown Tokyo, but also we have some in Kanagawa Prefecture, namely Yokohama and down to Fujisawa. But most of them are within, let's say, the best areas in Tokyo.
Once you arrived 3 years ago, you had a very aggressive plan of development. Are you still online with this original plan, or did you have to adapt your original strategy?
That's right. We publicly announced that we wanted to have 50 stores in the Kanto area. So we are still on the 50 stores track. The only thing is we had to adapt a little bit. The model, especially for the kind of stores. Mm-hmm. We were starting with only supermarkets like we have in France, and we just adapted to have depachika, so department stores type of store-in-store. And also recently we launched a very new type, convenience store type of organic store. So still aggressive plan, still going on strong, and with new models. So Japan for us is a center for innovation.
How do you see the general consumer looks at organic products? Once you arrived, you said there was no real much offer here in Japan, but you were feeling that there was a demand with mother, with issues that we had, Fukushima or whatever. How do you feel it's changing? Do you feel that this need for organic is growing up?
The market is definitely changing. I do think that there are some external factors. Namely the Olympics, namely also the World Cup, which brought a little bit of international exposure, and among that vegan, plant-based, as well as organic. Beyond this, we also did a fair lot of education in-store and outside of the stores. To give you an idea, once we started indeed 3 years ago, virtually organic was a non-question. We had about maybe 0.5% of the market being organic. Now, 3 years later, I can give you a metric. We are doing a lot of promotion on Instagram. And Instagram, we are adding more than 1,000 people a month. And we have, as of now, with only 14 stores, whereby France has 140 stores, about 65% of the total number of followers that France has. And probably by end of next year, we will go beyond them. So there is a lot of word of mouth coming. And people are getting more and more concerned because they have friends having atopy, having allergy, or also you may know that cancer is becoming also number one reason for death in Japan, and especially all the digestive tract. Yeah. So people are starting to realize that they need to do something. So it's not yet on a scale which we can see in Europe, but steadily but surely this is changing.
Do you feel you have more competitors that, because of what you did here, are moving in the Japanese market, or Japanese producer or Japanese retailer trying to follow your tracks? Or?
That's right. So we haven't seen, let's say, new competitors appearing on the market, at least not on the scale what we have in Europe. But traditional retailers, and especially, I would say, premium retailers, companies like Seijo Ishii, for example, are starting to have more and more organic products on the shelf. And what's
organic corners or
even within normal shelf. Okay. And what's interesting for me and for us as a whole is that a great deal of those organic products are under their own private brand. So they are putting their own DNA. They are really pushing forward using the name of their brand to push organic product forward. Our also co-owner in Japan, Aeon Group, has been doing a lot to develop organic products within their Aeon mall, Aeon corners. And they should have about 300 SKUs as of now.
At the beginning, one of the main issues was to secure products because there were so little farmers focusing on organic products. Where do we stand now? Did it change in the last 3 years?
So we grew the overall assortment by at least 30%, and a great deal of that has been in Japan. So we have partnered with local Japanese producers to be able to develop unique products for us, and ideally expand not only for our stores, but also distribute that on a at least nationwide basis. So to give you some concrete examples, we did a lot of work in grocery, especially all kind of cookies, local Japanese cookies, miso, Japanese ingredients which are necessary for everyday consumption, and also things more complicated, like we have the first organic Japanese beef. which we developed with a farmer in Hokkaido. It took us 2 years to reach that.
Okay.
So it's really a long-term plan. So, and we need to give visibility to all the players in our supply chain to reassure them that we'll be there, there will be a market, and so we can co-invest with them to develop what needs to be.
Okay. How did the trade agreement between the European Union and Japan impacted your business? Do you say something? Is it going to be easier for you to bring in some of the product that you couldn't bring before? Or for the moment, you don't see any real impact and you would hope for more changes?
Actually, new product, not really. Hasn't pushed us to bring in new products. The only thing is, definitely it has a positive impact on some categories of product by lowering the trade barriers and the tariffs. So, of course, wine has been very much impacted. So at the store, now we have our French wine at the same level of our Chilean wine, and very affordable, I would say. So that's definitely one good thing. But beyond that, now we're moving into grocery, lots of different products within the grocery section. And we hoped to do the same with cheese, but I would say the rules of origin, certification, certificate of origin have been a little bit hard to implement, especially at the beginning. Now it's getting better. That's for the grocery, especially once we switch to exporter model. So if the exporter is certifying it, basically the Japanese administration is not going to ask you too many details. If you as an importer are doing the paperwork, then you have a lot of issues, you have a lot of trouble. So there are ways and we are learning as we are going. However, I would say for cheese, we still are left with quotas, and the way those quotas are allocated is still a little bit of an issue. Of course, things are getting better, but at the very beginning, a lot of participants in the quota game, lottery, I would say, had no expertise, no business whatsoever in food, and especially not in cheese, which means that some of the strict players, like Eon, us for example, did not get any quotas. So, and those quotas are allocated on a 6-month basis. So that means you cannot pass any tariff reduction because you don't know what's going to happen 6 months afterwards. So we're working with the authorities to try to find a go-between to try to improve this. So overall, I'd say it's positive. There are still works to do, but it is impacting in a positive way, I think, the overall industry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.